looking for a project in South Baltimore, Locust Point area. This neighborhood's a unique neighborhood. The whole South Baltimore neighborhood is, because it's isolated from the rest of the city. It's surrounded by water. It was predominantly an industrial area back in the 1800s and early 1900s. But over the years, as industry was leaving the city, the older buildings that get left behind, if you don't have a good concept for an adaptive reuse of them, they end up sitting vacant, deteriorating, or getting torn down and losing the history of Baltimore. And we saw this building, and it was an operating grain elevator at the time. This building was a rather unique building because it was a 300-foot tall structure in a neighborhood that the height limit is 35 feet. So the thing I immediately saw was a high-rise that beat the zoning rules on this, where you could never build a high-rise in South Baltimore, but you had one existing if you could figure out how to do an adaptive reuse. There was a sign on the fence that said in case of emergencies to call the number, which I did. He wanted to know if there was a problem because grain elevators are notorious for explosions. I said no. I said I want to buy it. He said it wasn't for sale. I pursued this for the next 7 or 8 months, calling him every month, bugging these people. Finally, he asked me what I would do with it since they're explosion proof and they're not worth tearing down. I said we're going to do high-rise condominiums. Phone went dead silent. 8 months later, we owned the grain elevator in Baltimore. None of us developers would be here today if it wasn't for that initial vision of taking a pretty grubby industrial harbor and making it into probably one of the most vibrant harbors in the country. If you look at Baltimore 20 years ago and where it was, and then where we are today with a project like this, 20 years from now, as you look around at the industrial waterfront, probably more of that will be converted to other uses. Industry is leaving the cities. You're having a new type of economy coming in and taking vacant buildings and resurrecting them, getting back on a tax roll. 20 years from now, Baltimore's going to be a greater city than it is today.